Welcome here to round 3 of the Australian Sportscar Pro Am series, and this round we are at the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit in Germany, and we're watching Scott Goodman here for the KRF racing team, just negotiating the last few minutes of the warm-up session before we get into the race this evening. But before we do that, let's have a look at how the championship standings currently sit after round 2. Firstly, looking at the DP Open class with the Chevrolet Corvette C7 Daytona prototypes, we've got Joshua Rogers leading the way there for TTL. He's been dominant so far, taking the first 2 wins of the season from the pole also, and setting the fastest lap on each of those races along the way. He currently sits on 11 points. Interestingly, he's not turned up here tonight, so we will have a new winner for round 3. Second place at the moment, we've got Zachary Hanlon for Evolution Racing Australia. He sits on 7 points, and then Troy Maguire for Blackadder Motorsport, car number 28, currently sitting on 6 points. Moving on to the GT1 class, and Michael Schreier and Michael Hammond are locked on 7 points apiece there at the top of the table. 1 win apiece and a fastest lap each. Third there at the moment, Scott Goodman from KRF Motorsports, car number 47, currently sitting on 5 points. Moving on to GT3 Pro now, and we've got Aaron Osborne leading the way there. He's had a win and a second place so far, and he sits on 42 points. Privateer. Second place, Adam Funslow for IRFF Irelec Motorsports, car number 69, only 2 points behind on 40. He's had a win also. And third is Braith Morrow for Blackadder Motorsports, car number 67, further 2 points adrift with 38 total. Moving on to GT3 Am, and we've got Scott Hardy leading the way there for FSR GT Omega Racing on 26 points. Then Matt Zimmerman in second for LMTI on 23 points, and Neil de Bruin in another LMTI car, currently third on 19 points. Let's have a look at the track for this round now, and of course the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, sitting just alongside the famous Nordschleife circuit, somewhere between the major cities of Frankfurt and Bonn in the west of Germany. It's a 16-turn circuit, quite technical in nature, particularly in the opening half of the lap in that arena section. Overtaking opportunities, turn 1 and turn 15 are the best bets, 15 being the final chicane there, but also turn 11 not a bad option either. So with the cars sitting on the dummy grid awaiting the race start, now's a good time to go through the starting lineup for tonight's race. So on the pole we have John D. Barry for Blackadder Motorsport, setting a time of 1 minute 51.4, leading the Chevrolet Corvette C7 Daytona prototype class there. And alongside him we have Matthew Barron, the newcomer for this round. 1 minute 52.2 was his time. On row 2 we have Troy Maguire, also for Blackadder Motorsports, setting a time of 1 minute 52.4, and alongside him sits Adam Ireland. The last of the C7 prototypes tonight is Mark Haggarath, setting a time of 1 minute 54.0. Then on row 4 we have the first of the GT1 cars, and that's Michael Schreier there, setting a time of 1 minute 52.1. And next on row 5 is Michael Hammond, so those two once again close there, and hopefully they have a close battle during the race. Michael set a time of 1 minute 52.3 there in the second of the GT1 cars. Ross Rizzo is third with a 1 minute 52.5. And then on row 6 we have Scott Goodman and Lance Horse. On row 7 we have Adrian Jarvis and Steve Vaughan rounding out the GT1 field. Then on row 8 we have the first of the GT3 Pro cars, and that's Aaron Osborne. He set a time of 1 minute 55.6, so once again on the pace. Alongside him is Dylan Shepherd, setting a time of 1 minute 55.9. On row 9 we have the two IRFF Irelec Motorsports cars, and that's Adam Funslow and Richard Brookfield, and pretty much inseparable there on qualifying time too, with 1 minute 56.3 apiece. On row 10 we have Scott Stevens with a 1 minute 56.7, and then Jeff Raleigh, the first of the GT3 Am cars, setting a time of 1 minute 56.8. On row 11, it's Warren Pickering and Braith Morrow for Blackadder Motorsports. And then on row 12, we have the second of our GT3M cars, and that's Grant Hines with a 157.1. Tim Ballinger rounds out row 12. Row 13, we have Darren McKenzie and Brett Hender. And then row 14, it's Scott Party and Neil de Bruin in the first of the Audi R8 LMSs. Row 15, it's Alexander Sheridan and Matt Zimmerman. And then row 16, Jeffrey Price and Greg Coleman. Finally in row 17, we have Derek Nichols and then Josh Nowak, who didn't set a time for this one. And then Trent Thomas, also car number 80, he will not start tonight's race. Now, there's been a few dramas with the start here. We're actually on lap 1 now, but we're still on the yellow, with John D. Berry still leading the field around there, single file. Now, there's a few dramas with setting up the grid so that the classes are separated on the grid. So, I had a few of the GT1 cars, for example, out-qualify the DPs here tonight, and likewise a few of the GT3s out-qualify the GT1s. So usually they would be put, or they would be gridded in their respective classes and separated at the start, so the cars can get into groove in their own class, and so we can minimise any sort of interaction between those classes or collisions potentially. In that first lap or so, particularly with the DP cars and their tyres, which can take a little while to warm up. But the grid hasn't been able to be set automatically tonight to separate those classes, so we're actually having this being done on track at the moment. So yeah, those DPs that got out qualified and moved past the GT1s, and likewise the GT1s that got out qualified by the GT3s, they're all sorting themselves out on this first lap. So when we round the final turn on this first lap and enter the pit straight, that's when we'll get the green flag proper and we'll be going racing. So this will probably potentially prevent a few incidents into turn 1 as well on the opening lap. Turn 1 at Nurburgring, of course, is quite a tight corner, and you can see cars going three or so wide into that corner on lap 1, so it might not be such a bad thing after all. Anyway, as John D. Berry rounds the final turn, we'll get the green flag and we're racing. So he's led away Matthew Barron there, and then Troy Maguire and Mark Agrins. So we've had one car not start there in DP. We'll have a look at who that is in a minute. So looking at the GT1 start here, and it's Michael Schreier, of course, leading away from the pole, and Michael Hammond closely following him into turn 1, but getting through there nice and cleanly. And then Ross Rizzo is currently in position 3, Lance Hawes, and then Steve Horn just making his way past Scott Goodman there, who I think just had a spin, out braking himself there into turn 1. Let's have a quick look at that on the replay. Looking at the GT3 start now, and of course Aaron Osborne leading the way there. Dylan Shepherd not far behind into turn 1, and Adam Funzler applying the pressure also. But everyone getting through there cleanly. You just saw them passing through the smoke of Scott Goodman's spin from earlier. And then Richard Brookfield currently 4th, and Scott Stevens rounding out the top 5. P6 we've got Jeff Rayleigh, and that's the first of the GT3 AM cars, and closely following him is Warren Pickering. Then next it's Braith Morrow. Grant Hines, second of the GT3 AM cars, is Braith. It's under attack from Grant Hines at the moment. And then Tim Ballinger rounding out the top 10. So we're on lap 3 here, and this is probably the first major incident in the race, and it's Braith Morrow we're following here, and as Warren Pickering just ahead of him runs off track and he picks up a position momentarily, Braith does, but it's not for long as Grant Hines, taking evasive action, slams right into the side of him and effectively ending his competitive race. Let's take a look at that in replay though. So Warren just gets it a little bit wrong here, exiting turn 10, and Grant keeps his foot in it and tries to swerve to avoid Warren, who's running a bit slower there, and straight into the side of Braith. Let's have a look on board Grant's car. Now from Braith's perspective, and that was Tim Ballinger there who made contact with Grant Hines as he had spun there. He's got a bit of front end damage now. It looks like it's going to continue on though, so can't be too bad, that damage. Earlier on lap 3 we had Michael Hammond having a good look here at Michael Schreier into turn 1, and Schreier having to take evasive action there for the spinning Daytona prototype of Blackadder Motorsports driver. I think that was Troy Maguire there. So yeah, Michael Schreier losing that position to Michael Hammond there on lap 3. So on lap 7, let's have our first run through the field and see where everyone's sitting at the moment. So leading the way we've got John D. Barry for Blackadder Motorsports, still leading from the pole there, and he's got a nice buffer there over Matthew Barron, who's still sitting in second place here overall and in the DP Open class. Next down the track we've got Michael Hammond sitting in P3 overall, and then Troy Maguire P4. P5 overall is Michael Schreier. In position 6, not far behind in GT1, that's third in GT1, it's Ross Rizzo. Then we've got Mark Hagaratz, the last of the DP Open class cars, sitting in 4th in that class and 7th overall. Next it's Scott Goodman in the GT1 Aston Martin DBR9, currently sitting in P9 overall, and P10 currently is held by Steve Horn, a newcomer to the series for this round also. In P11 we have the first of the GT3 cars, it's Aaron Osborne still leading the way there and leading GT3 Pro. Not far behind though we've got Dylan Shepherd. In P13 it's Richard Brookfield having a good run there, and then his teammate Adam Funslow sitting P14 at the moment. Jeff Riley is currently P15 overall in the first of the GT3 AM cars, and then we've got Scott Stevens, and he's in the first of the BMW Z4 GT3s in 16th overall for FSR TP Amiga Racing. Next we've got Warren Pickering in P17 overall, and Tim Ballinger in P18 overall. Next we've got Darren McKenzie, who's currently P19. He is running in the GT3 AM class. And then we've got Braith Morrow in P30, so he's a couple of laps down now after that contact he received from Grant Hines earlier in the race. P19 is his teammate, and that's Alexander Sheraton running in GT3 AM. P20 is Neil de Bruin there, as we've got Josh Nowak just having a look into turn 1 there, and so Josh Nowak Didn't set a qualifying time, and so he's moving up through the field at the moment, the GT3 Pro driver. P22 overall is Brett Hender. Then we've got Grant Hines, so yeah, he was obviously involved in that incident earlier, and he's making his way up through the field also. Currently listed as P23. Matt Zimmerman currently sits in P24 in the Audi R8 LMS for LNTI. And his teammate Greg Colgan not too far behind in position 25 as he just holds on to it there. Lance Hawes, it looks like he's been in the wars a bit as well, currently P26 in the GT1 class car. Scott Party is next in P27, and I think he may have started from pit lane for this one also. And then we're back to our leader, John D. Barry. I think there's one other car that we've missed here. Jeffrey Price. He's currently listed as P28, so it looks like he's run into some trouble also. And Derek Nichols is there somewhere as well, I think running P29 at the moment. This is the end of lap 9 now, and this is Ross Rizzo, third in the GT1 class, as he chases down the two leaders there just in front of him. Let's go on board with him for a lap. Looks like Ross Rizzo's made up that position on Michael Hammond. Oh, not quite, but we saw earlier there when we were on board with Ross that looks like Michael Hammond cut the course there into the final chicane and probably got the slowdown penalty, and that's how Michael Schreier got past for the lead. But it looks like Ross Rizzo almost took that position there, but didn't quite pull it off in the end. Jumping ahead to lap 25 here, we're looking at Richard Brookfield, who's now currently leading the GT3 and GT3 Pro class because we're in the middle of pit stops at the moment. So the order is a little bit shuffled. He's putting a lap on Zimmerman here, who has pitted. But we've also got Neil de Bruin here exiting the pit lane, and he's in a battle with Zimmerman, and probably a little bit overexcited here, and takes out the leader into turn 1, so bit of drama there. Let's have a look at that from another angle. So looking on board here with Neil de Bruin. yeah, that there netted him a 30-second post-race penalty. Fortunately for Richard Brookfield, he was able to continue. So with 29 laps now gone in this 1 hour race at the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, let's just have our final run through the field and see where everyone's sitting at this late stage of the race. So first of all, we've got John D. Barry for Blackadder Motorsports leading the way. He's done so from the pole today, but not far behind him is his teammate Troy Maguire there in the number 28. So gee, less than a second between those two at the moment, so good to see this sort of battle close to the end of the race. Not far behind those two is Matthew Barron here, currently sitting in 3rd overall and in the DP Open class, so a good run by him also. Next we have Scott Goodman, who's 6th overall, running in the GT1 class. Then we have the first of our GT3 cars. It's Aaron Osborne, who's had another strong run there, position 7 overall and the GT3 Pro leader. But not far behind him we've got Dylan Shepherd, 8th overall, so another close battle there. Steve Horn's next on track, he's in GT1, 9th overall. Then we have Matt Zimmerman and Neil de Bruin for LMTI having a battle there. They're in positions 22 and 23 overall. Next is Brett Hender, 24th overall, so he's joining the end of this battle. Then in P10 we have Adam Funslow here. Now, looks like he's potentially slowing down a bit here. He may be running out of fuel, I think, in this one. Just had Jeff Raleigh pass him, and there goes Braith Morrow and also Michael Schreier. I think it is our GT1 leader. So yeah, it looks like Adam Funslow's just pulling off the track there out of fuel as his teammate Richard Brookfield goes past, and he's in P13 overall. Next we have Warren Pickering. He's listed as P12 overall, so it looks like Richard Brookfield's just made his way past him on this lap. Next it's Ross Rizzo, who's had a solid run in the GT1 class tonight. He's P5 overall. Next it's Tim Ballinger, P14 overall, the GT3 Pro driver. Then Jeffrey Price, who's been a little bit in the wars tonight, he's currently P26 overall. Then it's Lance Hawes, P16 overall in GT1. And then Grant Hines, who's had another strong run in GT3 AM, he's P17 overall. Darren McKenzie, P18, not far behind. And then Josh Nowak, P20, who's just made his way past Alexander Sheridan, P19. Who is now, sorry, P20 after Josh passed him. Next on track we have P28, it's Derek Nichols. So I think he's our last running car on the circuit. Scott Stevens, P15 overall at the moment. And then P27, the third LMTI car, and that's Greg Colgan. Scott Party next on track, P21, and I think he started from the pits again. The GT3 AM driver and the GT3 AM Championship leader at the moment. Then we're back to John D. Barry, the leader overall, and look at this battle now. We'll stay with it. Oh, he's had a bit of a drama there. I'm not sure what happened there, but two cars made their way past, and this might even be the checkered flag here, as I think Troy Maguire ran wide, just rolling over the start finish line. Well, what a finish that was. Matthew Barron, it looks like he's just snatched that victory there. So the two Blackadder cars actually running out of fuel there just before the start finish line, so gee, what an ending there in DP Open class. This here's Aaron Osborne now on the final lap, so he's about to round the final turn, and everything going well, he'll take the GT3 Pro victory, with Dylan Shepherd in the background there, chasing him all the way to the line. It's a good job there. Another solid result for Aaron. This is Jeff Riley now also on the final lap, and he's our GT3 AM leader, 10th overall. And Michael Schreier, the GT1 leader, follows him over the finish line there also. So solid drives for those two. So moving on to the results for this one. So yeah, incredible finish there in the DP Open class with Matthew Barron snatching that victory from the two Blackadder Motorsport drivers. So yeah, John D. Barry and Troy Maguire, hard luck there on the fuel, running out just before the start finish line. In the GT1 class, and 4th overall was Michael Schreier for Synergy Sim Racing, so he had another good result there. I'm not sure what happened to Michael Hammond there, who was having a good battle with him for much of that race, but Ross Rizzo ended up taking the 2nd place in that class, about 20 seconds down the road from him, and 5th overall for Ross. 6th overall in GT1 was Scott Goodman for KRF Motorsports. Then we had the first of our GT3 cars, and that was Aaron Osborne taking the GT3 Pro victory, his 2nd for the season there, the privateer in car number 73. Then we had Dylan Shepherd for FSR TPR Engineering, taking 2nd in the GT3 Pro class, and 8th overall. 9th overall was Steve Horn, who makes his debut to the series, and he was 4th overall. Fourth in the GT1 Open class. And then the first of our GT3 AM cars, that's Jeff Riley having a good run there for FSR TPR Engineering, car number 71, and he rounds out the top 10 overall. 11th overall was Richard Brookfield for IRFF ILEC Motorsports, and then Warren Pickering for Redback Racing, 12th overall, and they were 3rd and 4th respectively in the GT3 Pro class. Rounding out the top 5 in GT3 Pro was Tim Ballinger. And then we had the 5th of our GT1 cars, and that's Lance Hawes for KRF Motorsports. 2nd in GT3 AM was Grant Hines for Performance Motorsports there, 15th overall. And 3rd in the GT3 AM class was Darren McKenzie for Tryhards Racing, car number 68. Then we had Josh Nowak, who had a run through the field and taking 6th in class for GT3 Pro and 17th overall for Pro Force Racing. Then next was Alexander Sheridan for Blackadder Motorsports and Scott Stevens for FSR GT Omega Racing. In 20th overall we had Scott Party for FSR GT Omega Racing also, and he was 5th in the GT3 AM class. Adam Funslow was next, so it looks like he got a short fuel in his pit stop, and he finishes 21st for IRF ILEC Motorsport. So a bit of a drama there for him, and a bit of tough luck, because he was having a close, he's probably the closest contender there to Aaron Osborne in the GT3 Pro class, so not the sort of result he was looking for. Next was Matt Zimmerman for LMTI in the first of the Audi R8 LMSs in 22nd overall, so really not the track for those cars here today. 23rd overall was Brett Hender for Tryhards Racing, and then we had Braith Morrow for Blackadder Motorsports, 24th overall. In 25th it was Neil de Bruin for LMTI. Now he had a 30-second penalty there, otherwise he would have been right behind Zimmerman. And then next 26th was Jeffrey Price, the privateer, in car number 97. Then 27th Greg Colgan in the last of the LMTI cars, and then Derek Nichols for Tryhards Motorsports there, 28th overall. A couple of cars here who ran into some dramas and didn't finish the race. So we had Mark Hagerart's P29 overall there in the DP, 4th in class, and then Michael Hammond 30th overall and 6th in class in GT1. Finally we have Adrian Jarvis and Adam Hyland, who pulled out very close at the start of this one. So let's move on to have a look at the championship standings after round 3. So firstly the DP Open class, and the first few positions in that one, positions 1 to 4 haven't changed after this round, but it's 5th place Matthew Barron for FSR Dayco Racing, who on his debut here took the win, and he enters the championship standings at 5th. And then John D. Berry for Blackadder Motorsports is next on 4 points, followed by Scott Sislowski for All Star Motorsports. So they're currently 5th through to 7th at the moment. Josh Rogers continues to lead the way. And now in GT1, it's Michael Schreier who's jumped ahead there, now on 14 points, so a good haul of points for him today, taking the win. And second is now Scott Goodman on 10 points, and then Michael Hammond, who ran into some dramas for Laser Racing, he's now third on 9 points, so 5 points adrift from the class leader. Moving on to GT3 Pro, and Aaron Osborne now has a nice buffer back to Richard Brookfield, so 62 points for Aaron Osborne, and Richard Brookfield now on 51 points, with Dylan Shepherd taking the 3rd spot at the moment for FSR TPR Engineering on 50 points. But it's Adam Funslow there who had a bit of a free fall at this round, going from 2nd to 5th in the standings, so he now sits on 48 points there after running out of fuel. In GT3 AM, it's Scott Pardy who continues to lead the way in this class for FSR GT Omega Racing on 35 points. Then it's Grant Hines for Performance Motorsports, currently sitting on 31, and then Matt Zimmerman for LMTI, car number 92, on 30 points. So moving on to have a look at the schedule and what's coming up next. So after round 3 today, we've got the mid-season break round at the Nordschleife. That'll be a non-points round, but following that, back into the championship, and it's round 4 at Spa-Francorchamps, and that'll be a night race, so that'll be something a bit different and certainly a challenge for all of the drivers. If you'd like to participate in the series, get along to the iracing Australian Road Racing part of the forums there, and you'll find the ASPA page there, and we're still taking entries for the C7 Daytona Prototype and GT1 classes, so if you want to have a run, by all means check out the forum page and sign up. Also, if you can't get access to that part of the forum because of perhaps you're outside Australia, then get along to lmti.freeforums.net and you'll also find further information there. Finally, we're keen to get some feedback on who is considered the most die-hard driver in the series. So for this round, and for any other round for that matter, if you'd like to provide your comments and feedback in the comment section here as to who you think has the best die-hard attitude for this round or for others, then please comment there, because there'll be an award for that at the end of the season. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time.